Hey cats, what's happening? Temperature sure went down. It looks like it's gonna brighten up a little bit, but we had some thunderstorms this morning and the rains came down. But yesterday evening, I was able to get the lawn mowed. I always think it looks so nice when everything's mowed. I wish it would stay that way, but I mowed, until later in the evening, and I did not get everything around the pond back there, but I got all the way to the pond. And then again, I didn't mow down the driveway because that's a whole nother challenge down there with the contours and everything. It's easy to get stuck, and I saved that for a one day project because I mow down there and then I take the weed eater down there and I clean everything up with the weed eater that the mower can't get. But anyway, yesterday I spent a great deal of the morning into the early afternoon doing housework. I tend to neglect the housework for outdoor. I much rather be outdoors. I'm an outdoorsman. And I love working outside. I love keeping the place up. You've seen my gardening and stuff. But I don't really like doing the housework. And I don't consider that like a woman's job. I mean, I live here, so it's obviously my job to take care of the house, but I just don't like doing it. But there was a lot of things that were neglected yesterday, for the past couple weeks, so I really had to take care of them. My wife was way better at taking care of things than I am. I mean, I like to take care of my stuff. I definitely take care of my bike. My truck, on the other hand, it could use a wash, but in fact, I still got all the mulch crap in the bed that I need to sweep out and clean out. But my wife took really good care of her stuff. Now, you've seen her car sitting in the garage, and somebody asked, do I still drive it? And the answer, pretty much no. Why is that? You think that I would drive this? It's a 2010 Nissan Rogue. It's in beautiful shape. I mean, she kept it in really good shape. And so I keep it in good condition too. I make sure that the tire pressure's up. It's got a full tank of gas. I keep it clean. I check it to make sure that there isn't any mice getting into it or anything. I just put a new battery in it. But see, she had this little decal she wanted on the back of this cat. She loved cats. It's got the little paw prints coming along here. And the cat's kind of sassy. He's got his tongue sticking out, and he's kind of, giving you that evil little smirk. And when you turn the back windshield wiper on, it would look like his tail was wagging. Well, I swear people did not like following this car because of that cat. And I've often felt almost like humiliated driving this car because of that cat on the back. And I don't know, maybe it was just me, It doesn't look like the kind of car that a biker would drive around in. It's kind of a girly car. But she loved it. But it seemed like everybody that followed me was always trying to get around or pass. And I mean, I was doing the speed limit or more. I'm not a slowpoke out on the road. But people would come up behind me and they'd see that cat and they just had to pass me. And some of the most precarious situations too. It's like, good grief, what's this guy doing? Why does he feel the need to get around me? And I blamed that cat. But anyway, this was her car. She took really good care of it. She always told me, my dad told me to take care of my stuff. And so she said, it's always been instilled in me to take good care of my stuff. I mean, the interior is like spotless, and that's the way she always kept it. I have used it once or twice, but it's difficult for me to use her car. It's all paid off. Uh, I don't owe anything on it. She made sure that she made all the payments, paid it off, and I don't know. Whenever I do think about driving it, I start thinking about her, and when I get in that car, it just floods back all of the everything about her, and I just can't. It's hard for me to drive. I tell you, it's an emotional thing. So I take my truck, and I'm way more comfortable that way. I'll keep her car here. It's kind of a memorial. I've had a couple people say, "Hey, you want to sell that? I'll buy that car off you." But I think, well, it's nice to have two vehicles in case something ever happened and my truck ended up in the shop. At least I'd have a standby vehicle that I'd be able to use. But for now, it just sits there, and I'll continue to take care of it. I'll keep it polished up, keep it clean, and I'm sure she'd be happy to see that. Now, I know some of you people have said, "Hey, you seem to be doing pretty good with the loss of your wife." And, I think I'm doing okay. I think there's people that do a lot worse than me. But I will be honest, it's still a struggle for me, being that my wife is gone. There isn't a day go by that I don't miss her or think about her or see things that she would have done, or the way she or think about the way she would have want things. And part of that is the way she kept her house. She was a very hard worker. She was very dedicated. And she not only, focused on her house clean, keeping her house in clean shape, but she also helped me out here in the yard a lot. You would find her on the tractor mowing, or you'd find her down on her hands and knees pulling weeds, cutting flowers. She was, she really liked to be involved with everything. And we worked as a team together. The problem now is, with her being gone, my workload has doubled. I mean, they say that when you have a partner, a marriage partner, a spouse, somebody that's very close to you, and you lose them, it's like a half of you is gone. It's like a half of my heart is gone. And that goes to a lot of things here too, including the workload of everything that needs to be done. I no longer have her helping me with anything. It's all on me. So like I said, it's my responsibility now to do housework as well as maintain the yard, the equipment and everything else, and still try to find time to do things for myself, like take a motorcycle ride. And it gets real difficult. I mean, I miss her, and I don't just miss her for the help, but I miss her by my side, being a part of everything. That's the difficult thing, and it's called grief. When I first lost her, I think I went through what I call mourning, where I was actually breaking down, weeping, crying, and once you go through that mourning period, that wailing and sobbing, you kind of get over that, but you never get over the grief. They say grief is a form of love. When you really love somebody and you lose them, you grieve their loss. A lot of people that have passed away, but you don't grieve them. You didn't have that bond, that hardcore love, that connection with them. But they say if you're grieving, and most likely you really loved that person. Whether it be a spouse, or a child, or maybe another family member, a brother or sister, you're going to grieve because they were part of your heart. With some of the chores that I took care of yesterday morning, one of the things was moving my spider plant outside. It hung up in the loft way, and hung way down. See how long, dangly this thing is? I think I broke one or two of these off yesterday just moving it because they were dragging on the ground, and I stepped on one. But it'll do much better outside here once it kind of gets over the shock of being outdoors. Uh, this will all fill out quite a bit more, and it'll send out some new tendrils and some new shoots, and these ones might even die off, and I can cut those and get rid of them. But I did a lot inside too. I moved her fern out here. Great big fern, doing very healthy, but it'll be happier being outside here by the back door. And then I also moved this prickly pear cactus outside. It is a real challenge to move. Believe it or not, that thing probably weighs about 75 pounds. And it's very heavy. It's really old. I've probably had that cactus for 30 years. And I've cut it so many times because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I cut one of these paddles off, and you let the paddle dry out for a couple days, and then you stick it in some soil, and I put that out on the front deck. And it's supposed to reroot and start a brand new cactus. If I can get that to start, maybe I'll get rid of this great big huge thing, because I hurt my back carrying it yesterday. I had it in one of the back bedrooms. I'll show you back there in a minute. But carrying it all the way through the house and setting it up out here, I twisted my back. And it hurts. It's hurting today. This is the back bedroom, but I have 3 plants here now. In the winter, I had the cactus sitting here, and I had that big fern sitting over here. And pretty much all I was doing was coming in here every week and watering these things. Well, yesterday I got to looking at this one, and it was covered with mites. And this thing had mites on it, this English ivy. And the mites had pooped all over the table here. And so it was all black, looked like black mold all over the table. And this thing was a mess too. So I took those 3 plants outside. I had to spray them with neem oil, Neem. I think you can get it, most hardware places, Walmart, Home Depot, or Rural King, or TSC. Any of those places I think may have neem oil, but it'll kill the aphids and other bugs that can get on there and damage the plants. So I had a real mess. I had to take those outside, spray them down, clean them all up, took all the dead stuff off, and then I had to wipe that whole little table down there. These are details that my wife would have seen a long time ago and not let them get to the point that I did. So, it was my bad that I don't have that detail to attention that she had, or attention to detail. One of the things she would do, she kept this kitchen spotless. And one of the things she would do is, every day after dinner, she would wipe everything down with soap and water, and she would polish that stove. That gas stove was her pride and joy. And I mean, I don't know if you could see on there, but it's got some spots on there. I've been using it, and I've neglected to put the detail into it. If she was here, she would be very upset. So I need to put some elbow grease on that. And that's another job, though, that, another lack of detail that I don't tend to that she used to do. She wasn't afraid to get down on this floor either, on her hands and knees. She'd move all the chairs out and she would wipe the whole floor down with like pine sol. The other thing she did probably twice a month was to treat this leather with a leather conditioner on both of these chairs and this couch. Uh, I mean, she was into keeping everything immaculate. And for me, there's a bit of a lack of detail. Now, I think a lot of that is basically the fact that I don't have her to help me here anymore. And there's only so much that one person can do. But I do my best, and I think by keeping me busy, by having a lot of things to do, it helps to keep my mind off of the depression or the grief of not having her. But boy, do I miss her. Boy, do I miss her. So I have been dealing with grief still. It's not something you ever get over. I've been going to a grief support once a month. Uh, Once a month isn't a whole lot, but it does help. It's a smaller group. I think there's, usually about 8 people there. And I'm one of the only males there. The last one I went to last week, I think there's 7 or 8 females in there, and I was the only male, the only man. Now you'd think, ooh, there's a big opportunity for you. No, I don't think so. It's a whole different story because, we're all. It's a place where everyone there has lost a spouse or a brother or a sister or a child or somebody they loved from cancer. So we all have the same thing in common. And what's interesting as we, discuss our situations, it's interesting to find that every one of us lives the exact same thing. Some of the stories I tell, the women are telling the exact same story. They're saying, "Oh my gosh, since my husband's gone, I'm overwhelmed with work now. I can't keep up with the lawn mowing, and I'm trying to keep my house in order, I have to let certain things go." And I can relate to that. Now, I'm probably not as emotional as some of the women there because women have a softer heart, and so there's a lot of crying, sometimes sobbing there when these memories come up. And I feel like my place now is to go and actually help support some of the other people that are there through my story. And they're very grateful for that. And so I'll continue going to that support group because it not only helps me, but I can help them too by sharing with them and talking about some of my feelings and kind of where I'm at. Uh, but it's helpful to me. It really is. And probably like some of you guys, I'll go through my day and maybe I'll hear a song that reminds me of her, and it just brings tears to my eyes. Um, I'll 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 be up there on my computer and I'll pull a picture up of her or something, and it brings tears to my eyes. And there'll be times when I'm just doing my thing around. I might be mowing grass or something, and a memory comes on about her, and those are hard times. It's not easy to deal with grief. It's difficult to stay above that level of dropping into depression. And the way I stay above it, number one, I stay busy. Number two, I have my circle of friends that are very supportive that I hang out with. So those things are important. You can back here where I am, in the middle of nowhere with no visible neighbors, it can get really lonely. And I could just sit here like a recluse and drown in my own sorrow. I could pick up the bottle and drink myself silly. But where would that get me? I would continue to stay sad. Uh, I would be miserable, and it's no way to live life. So I find it's much better to keep myself busy, find things that I do, take pride in what I'm doing because I mow the lawn and it looks nice and I'm proud of that. So I've accomplished something that feels good to me. When I cleaned the house yesterday morning and I looked at everything and how nice everything was in here and cleaned up, and it felt refreshing. And to know that I accomplished these things, it made me feel good inside. So that's important. But I think the number one most important thing in my life right now is my relationship with Jesus Christ. Without God in my life, I would be lost. And I know some of you don't believe, you have your doubts. Maybe some of you, yeah, semi believe, but you just don't want to deal with it right now. But, it comes a time in everybody's life where you get to the bottom of that barrel, when you just can't get any lower, when the depression is heavy, when you feel like you don't have anywhere to go, you've lost everything, uh, things are looking mighty glum. I tell you, there's always one thing you can do, and that's look up. You look up to God, and you just say, God, please help me. I can't deal with this anymore. Just help me, Jesus. Forgive me for my past, because I know that you're probably not happy with the way I lived my life. But, and in that moment, God will forgive you, and you'll just feel this spirit of uplifting, and trust me, it's something you won't ever regret doing. I believe God is real. He proves himself every day. Last night they said there was the aurora borealis, the northern lights, and that you could see them here in Ohio, which is unheard of. But there's some kind of big solar storm that's pushing these rays further south. I went out last night to see if I could see them, but I couldn't see anything. But just seeing the stars in the sky was just miraculous to me, and there's so much there to comprehend that's beyond beyond anything I can comprehend. But I couldn't see the northern lights. I found out this morning after looking at some people's posts. Really, the only way you could see them here was to look through your phone, like through your camera app, and then you could see it through because somehow the camera lens would pick up the wavy lights. Where looking at them with the naked eye, you couldn't really see anything. So perhaps I was looking at it, perhaps I wasn't. But it's just one of the other wonders of creation. It's like, how did these things happen, and how does it all come together, and just, anyway. I kind of got off tangent there, but I'm always thinking of the miracles in this world that are around us every day that we fail to comprehend, that we fail to take a look at and think about. And I give God all the credit for his beautiful creation. I'll keep you guys in my prayers. I know a lot of you need prayer. I know some of you suffering with disease, with sickness, with crippling. Some of you have emotional strains. You've lost someone you love and you're still dealing with that. We all carry a cross in one form or another. But I continue to pray for you guys, and I ask your prayers for me too. I can use them just as much as you can. I consider myself a Christian, but I'm a sinner like everybody else. It's absolutely impossible to live a life that's clean and pure on this earth. And you know how evil this earth is getting right now. But I do my best to try to keep hanging on. Well, thanks for listening to me today. And I didn't mean to bring anybody down, but I just wanted you to understand that, my life isn't all a bowl of cherries. I grieve too. My heart is ripped in half, and it probably will continue to be. Will I ever find another woman? I'm not pursuing that. I'm not pursuing that. If it's in God's will that another woman would come into my life and I would happen to fall in love with her, then that would be another story. But I'm not going to go out chasing that. I'm finding contentment where I'm at, and through the love of Jesus, just kind of helping me through every day, which is very important. Well, thanks for watching. Give me that thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Until next time, cats, you know what? Ride hard and die free.